All right, we're back, and just to prove to you that Josh is back, here he is again.
No, this is definitely not AI. I promise you.
No, I'd be using AI of you if I could, because it's
I was
too
going to
much
say
fun.
I'd look a lot better if it was AI. Trust me.
Yeah, people would
work. I'm still a little sweaty and stuff, trying to get rush and get this done. Yeah,
people would know it was fake if I could get a word in.
He's definitely using AI.
All right,
He's talking too much.
So we're going to be talking about a few headlines in the Jeep stuff you've heard before, but maybe a little bit different. It'll be a little different with Josh's responses here. But the new June's 12 for 12 drop is actually drop 8. We'll talk a little bit about the massive recall of over 1 million Wranglers and Gladiators. And Josh, I always mess it up. And you have another you
There we go. Know who you are.
So we're here to shame you. We're here to make you feel bad about your life choices. I think it's only a small percentage. Otherwise, we're doomed. All right, so let's get started on this. Well, first off, and I warned you I was going to embarrass you a little bit. People are excited. A lot of them are past viewers and listeners to the show. They're really excited about you being back, Josh. They miss you.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad some people stuck around. I figured once I left, everybody else was going to leave too.
Yeah.
No,
well,
honestly,
that's always a fear when you make a change with the show.
No, the show did really good after I left. You made a lot of improvements, and we kind of joked around behind the scenes that it took me leaving for the Jeep Talk Show to get some wind in its sails. So
I had to do something different. It was so much easier when you were here. You were doing all the talking and doing all the work with getting the stories and stuff. I could just sit here and be which I love to do. But you remember Dusty L. Dunn, that sick and twisted bastard?
Oh, is he still around?
He is still around. He was happy to hear that you're back. I think it was Mike on our Discord server today made comment about he was glad to see that you were back. And I told you that the last that you did, that a guy with a PhD at the end of his name on, get this, the social media site LinkedIn, that's business type stuff, liked he actually, I think he shared that post, that clip that I made of you doing the anti-duck rant, and he says, finally somebody says it. So I mean, if you can stand out on a professional site with a I'm not even gonna try. I think it's great. Anyway, let's get busy, because I know people want to get that new segment that you're doing. All right, so let's start with something nice and easy and not things that catch on fire, or at least not yet. June's 12 for 12 is drop 8. It is the Sarge edition. It was revealed on June 12th. It's a Jeep drop, or actually rather Jeep dropped the military-inspired 2026 Jeep Wrangler Sarge and Gladiator variant with olive drab green paint, 41 insignia, or the little hash or quote mark, right. 41 insignia, tactical styling, and heritage nods to the World War II era Jeeps. Limited quantities, arriving late summer. Strong action star military vibe. Action star. So that means if it's a Schwarzenegger thing, it must come with a 50 cal Desert Eagle in the glove.
No, because it still has a chrome grille surround. I don't know. So you
don't like chrome.
Look, we've long since pointed out that Jeep is no stranger to special editions. They love the special editions.
I love the special editions. I don't know that I would buy one, but I like the Lara Croft Tomb Raider one. That was neat.
There's been a couple that have stood out. Yeah. Granted, there's been a couple of flops too. Absolutely.
Oh, of course.
So this, I would think, kind of goes somewhere maybe in the middle to middle high. There's a couple things I think that they could have done better on this. Imaging, I love the white star. I love the color. I love the military-esque wheels as well that also match the body color paint. The one thing that I'm not a big fan of is, at least in some of the demo pictures that I've seen, is it's got a white top in the back. So the back quarter of the top is white. That hollers back to the old YJ era. I'm thinking of, some of the old YJs right. that had tops and stuff. And it's like, okay, that there's some heritage there in the sense that they came from the factory that way, or it was an option, whatever. We saw them out on the road. There was a thing. it doesn't work here. I think it should have been black, if nothing else, body color as well.
Well, I mean, it's military inspired. Is there a military vehicle going to be out there with something that's real easy to target, like a white top?
Right. Yeah. I'd like to see the Gladiator version of this, honestly. I think that would be a little bit more on par with what they were trying to shoot for. Right. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more ruggedness. Yes, I like the stencil styling, paint, aesthetics on it. I think there could have been some additional accoutrements. I would love to have seen like a roof rack, or maybe even some jugs on the side or something like that. Maybe some A-pillar lighting, some auxiliary lighting, some stuff to make it look a little bit more, not just like a plain Jeep with a color job.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me the Jurassic Park thing. There's people out there that just love taking the Jeeps and Jurassic Parking it up. And I always have a problem with the round headlights on a Jurassic Park Jeep, because that's not what that was. That was a YJ that they had in the movie. But the Jurassic Park theme that came out from Jeep, they actually came out with a decal package. So it wasn't even a Jeep; it was a decal package, and it was like $500. This
is akin to that so much. I mean, literally, what do you get out of this that you couldn't get on a Rubicon trim? I mean, honestly, I think the Rubicon trim would probably get you a little bit better of a Jeep than this. Anyways, you get a limited edition paint job. Okay, you get maybe the limited edition wheels or something like that. I really don't see anything. Ooh, wow! I got to go out and get this. This is limited time. Only on these models can you get this. Type of thing. And outside of a paint job, I'm not seeing it. To me, this is a cop-out for Jeep sort of, I don't know, not really hitting the ball out of the park when it comes to like the Easter Jeep Safari concept vehicles that have really, really been showstoppers in years past. They've just sort of gotten lazy, and it's showing here in the 12 for 12. I'm sorry.
Help! I'm almost out of episodes! The episode queue is down to awe! I need your help to keep the show going! Listen on YouTube, subscribe now, and join the ride!
Yeah, I think, but I'll still maintain that it's nice that Jeep is giving the Jeep owners attention. That has been missing back whenever we had a former president of Stellantis that was going the luxury vehicle route. And I do appreciate the normal. I don't say extra. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Not participation. The looking at actually doing things for the Jeep owners and coming back to the Jeep people that buy Jeeps. And I think that even the decal package I was talking about is still something that Jeep owners like and want, and isn't $60,000 to get it. It was $500 for a decal package. So it's nice that they're giving us that attention like they used to.
Well, and the Jeep performance parts, that I would say that entire line is really hitting the nail on the head under that regard. They paid attention to what Jeep owners want, what the enthusiasts want, what people are using their Jeeps for. They said, okay, to keep your warranty and to give you what you want without us having to completely retool our factories, here you go. Here's a whole line of quote unquote aftermarket parts that can get you where you need to go as far as your build goes, get you the capability and the look that you want, not void your warranty, and still be able to go out and play.
Mm-hmm. Well, and thanks to our Chris, our guest acquisition person, and him living there in the Michigan area and around a lot of the Jeep people, I've found out a lot more information about Jeep performance parts, and what a group. I mean, I'm really impressed with them. And also too, I now know at least 3 people that their business is associated with JPP. So you can actually order their stuff when you buy your Jeep. And,
okay, well, here's what I need you to do, Tony. Right here and right now, you need to put a pin in this. You got some homework to do. You need to get in touch with these people and find out if one of their mad scientists over there has an inline 6 in the closet that they're tweaking with and doing some JPP funky stuff with.
Now, are you talking about a 4.0 or the Hurricane?
Hey, I'd settle for either. I just want to know what's cooking under the in the kitchen.
They're putting the Hurricanes in the Grand Wagoneers.
Well, that I know that's and a twin turbo version of it in the in the Grand Wagoneer to get you that I think it was 505 horsepower or something like that, and around 500 pound-feet of torque. I mean, yeah, it's impressive numbers. Don't get me wrong. That's why I'm like I'm really not saying anything bad about the new generation of inline six. I've definitely got a soft spot for the venerable 4-liter, but this inline six and what they've been doing with it so far is relatively impressive. I want to see what else they're cooking. What do they got going on with that inline six as far as some other performance tuning and some other things? Perhaps we might see a 700 horsepower inline six. I'm just not out of the question. I mean, I'm sure that somebody out there has got something to cooking that might get those kind of numbers out of the new Hurricane.
You know, what they need to do is they need to get the engineers busy working on the Hurricane engine to make it sound just like a 392. Because if you got the horsepower and performance and the sound, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to pop the hood and show them that 392.
You know, I'm kind of glad you brought up the 392 because in the news recently, not exactly Jeep related, but GM has announced that they're going to retire the 5.3 liter V8, their venerable engine that they've had as far as their small block big performer and has worked and has got, you know, really good reputation and stuff. So it's like this end of a V8 era. And I'm thinking, okay, well, Mopar has been playing around with the end of the V8s for a while. We've heard that Dodge is like canceling their V8 program. Maybe it's coming back. Maybe it's not. Who knows? Whatever. But I think the 392 is going to start increasing in value here in the upcoming years as we see more and more automakers ditching the V8 platforms across the board and going for more inline six and hybrid options.
Did you know that the Ford Bronco Raptor version, would you expect that to have a V8 in it? Because I was surprised to find out it's a V6.
Well, they only have so much room in those things. I mean, they're not exactly a.
Don't talk to me about the it won't fit type thing. Men will make it fit.
They cram a 392 into a Wrangler, so
yeah, absolutely.
There's room. Spit on it and shove it in.
That's right. Grab that butter. It's right there by the good Lord, I'm having a problem. What is it used to say? Tony, are you having a stroke? The bedside table. It's right there next to the lamp on the bedside table.
Nightstand, yeah.
Nightstand, thank you. All right, so let's move on to the massive recall. So I think everybody knows, especially those that have put out the fire, the massive recall issued for over 1 million Wranglers and Gladiators. Stellantis announced a fire risk recall affecting 1.077 million 2021 through 2025 models. Owners urged to park outside or at your ex's house. Unless your kids are there. I just thought about that. So now I think the thing here is that Jeep owners are used to fire recalls. I just don't think they're used to the fire recalls on the Wranglers and the Gladiators. If it was a Wrangler 4xe, sure. You know,
or a Grand Cherokee, sure.
Yeah.
But you know, unfortunately, no, this is affecting the Gladiators and the Wranglers. And this is the nasty one. And we talked about this the last time I was on, and how dangerous this really is. And how if you do own one of the Wranglers or Gladiator within this year range, please do not park it in the garage or in your carport or right up next to the house. I know you want to keep it safe. I know you want to keep it out of the weather and all that, but man, it just ain't worth it until you get this fixed.
Yeah, and this was reminds you that we this is something that happened on the line. It's the robots that were putting things together. Somebody didn't set something up right.
Speaking about shoving it in, no, they put that terminal into the block a little too hard.
They need to add a robot there that can spit on it before before they're shoving it in there. Like you were, I'm just repeating what you said.
Trying to breeze past that. But yeah, no, exactly. It's as they're building the wire harness, different plug ends and whatnot, get all the wires terminated and shoved into their homes into that plug, and something happened in one of those wires, and it created an intermittent connection. It created some kind of a short, created something to where it's going to cause some heat, and it's going to cause some fire, and it's going to cause some danger. You don't want this to happen to your rig, especially if it's inside the house.
You know, I just realized that. Why the hell isn't this fused? If it was fused.
Well, think about it. I mean, all of the I'm going kind of dating myself here, going back to the OBD2 program, the 5-volt program. You've got constant voltage going through all of this entire sensor network. Okay, so none of it's fused essentially. You've got a fuse line going into main line going into the ECU, but as far as the actual communication between everything, all the CAN bus system is the same thing. These are running on that kind of a system. It's just multiplex signals going through wires. It's hardly any of it's fused. It's all frequencies and voltages.
Yeah. Well, I'm still anxious to find out. I want to see some of the damage. I want to see somebody finding something. I want to know what it is. Like we've discussed, we disagreed on it. I think it'll be a visual inspection primary, and then a repair of some sort secondary, so that they can speed up the process and save money. But we're not there yet.
I want to see the smoking gun too. I want to find out, what exactly is the problem. Okay, we know that, essentially what's causing the fires, but why?
Yeah.
Why is this exactly happening? Is it, terminal 16 on this plug on this harness? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually I think we'll get those answers. In the meantime, all we can do is put the word out and have you guys tell your friends.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, is make sure people are aware of it.
Public service announcement. We're doing our part. Look at us.
And if this is new to you, or this is just a reminder, just go over to Jeep. You can put in your VIN number and see if yours is on the recall list. They have not started accepting Jeeps for repair yet. I did check on that.
I don't think that they've quite got things figured out as far as what they're going to do yet.
No, I don't think so either, because this is June 9th when the thing came out.
Right. So I think this is one of those things where, because I think they're having the same discussion that you and I were last week. And that was that, how far do we go with this? They've got probably board executives that are saying, let's just do the visual inspection. They probably got engineers that are saying, no, we need to tear this apart.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably two different teams that are going at this, and they're going to have to figure out what's the best way, what's the most cost-effective way, what's the most efficient way to handle this problem, and not only take care of the Jeep owners, but also make sure that we don't lose our shorts in this.
Well, you don't want anybody to lose their life. You don't want anybody, their house or lean-to or whatever the Jeep's parked in, to catch on fire and burn down. But at the same time, you don't want to get too aggressive in fixing the issue, because you may not fix it. You really have to understand the problem fully and make sure that the first time that you do it, it's fixed. It's not going to happen. So, and that just because of this, any fire that occurs in a Wrangler or Gladiator for the next 10 years is going to go back to this recall. That they're going to have to fight. So,
well, and look, that's just a word of caution to then people, buying used Jeeps moving forward, is you really got to do those VIN checks at that point to make sure that this Jeep has had all of its recalls taken care of, because you don't want to be the guy who buys that one Jeep that the dude never heard the Jeep talk show or never got the recall notice because he's moving around too much. And lo and behold, you buy the one Jeep that didn't get fixed and it burns down in your garage. So let's not do that.
I can see this in 3 or 4 years. Somebody's buying a used Jeep and they're using this tactic to lower the price. Oh, nope, checking your VIN.
No,
it's never been taken care of. This is a fire risk. That's good for another $5,000 off.
Lower the price about $10K. Yeah.
And it's only $5,000 because this thing is worthless if it burns. So I'm taking the risk here.
Really. I'm doing you a favor.
That's
pal.
Right. Exactly. All right, Josh, what do you got for us tonight for your
Well, in tonight's installment of You look, this is all about driving technique. Okay, I'm not talking about on the or off the road, on the trail, which line you take and anything like that. And honestly, it doesn't even matter if you own a Jeep or not, because honestly, in the recent past, Jeepers have been guilty of this. And what I'm talking about is something that I alluded to, I think briefly a few weeks ago or whatnot, and that is the merging on the freeway. And almighty, does it get under my skin is when somebody is trying to merge onto the freeway at like 35, 40 miles an hour. Look, I don't know what you do in your state, but around here, we do about 65, 75 miles an hour on the highway. On the interstate, we're doing about 75, 85 miles an hour or better, especially when you get out past the, the cities and whatnot, get out in the countryside, people are doing 90, 100 miles an hour on the freeway. That's just how we roll out here. I don't care if you're visiting. I don't care where you're from. Look at the flow of traffic. Use your two eyes, use two brain cells to rub together and put together at least a half ounce of common sense and realize that, I'm coming up to a whole bunch of fast moving traffic. Maybe I need to push the skinny pedal just a little bit more because, God forbid, somebody has to slow down for me. No, move your I don't care if you own a Jeep. I don't care if you're running on 3 cylinders out of 6. I don't care. Move the thing off to the side, clap it out. Just get the out of the way. Move, you trying to merge onto the freeway at 35 miles an hour. I don't care if you're Asian. I don't care if you're white. I don't care what color you are, what vehicle you're running. You need to follow the flow of traffic. And this applies on arterial roads or on in the neighborhoods. I don't give a shit. You're driving along and the flow of traffic, everybody's doing 45. I don't care if the speed limit's posted 35. Everybody's doing 45. Do 45. Don't sit there and do 27 miles an hour and wonder why everybody's honking at you. This is just insane. It probably happens in your neighborhood too. If this is happening, there needs to be more shaming. There needs to be more honking. There needs to be more train horns, honestly, because these people need to be woken the F up. Because nothing is going to crack their brain open like the cracking sound of about 175 PSI being blasted through a 4-foot train horn and 190 decibels slapping upside the back of their dome like, what am I doing? Crap, I'm going to get run over by a train. And they're either going to move out the way and let traffic freely flow, or they're going to speed up, or they're going to have a coronary and things are going to take care of themselves. One or the other. Either way, you start accelerating.
I listen to the Jeep Talk Show on my long drives to off-road destinations, to and from work, makes the trip go by quicker and makes me laugh. Listen or watch on YouTube, Spotify.
This reminds me, you remember me talking about my 83 Chevy four-wheel drive?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see a couple of the old body style, original body style Chevys.
Square body, absolutely.
Yeah, man. And
so I was getting on I-10. And this is shortly after I got the 37-inch tires on there and the 4-inch lift, and it was leaf spring lifts on that thing. And I'm on the acceleration lane, getting on I-10, and the woman in front of me in a car stops.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I'm watching the traffic because, like you say, you need to get up to speed of the traffic. So I'm watching. I'm looking at my side, watching.
Mirror. Yeah, you're looking on the side mirror.
I'm looking at the side to see, making sure where I'm gonna merge in. I glance ahead of me, and there is a stopped vehicle
car as you're getting into the accelerator.
1983 braking system. I'm sure it wasn't.
Drums.
I'm sure it wasn't drums on the front, but it was definitely drums on the back with full size pickup. It was a short wheelbase, thank God, and those 37-inch tires. I was able to stop it before running into her. I was so pissed off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I can imagine because somebody read that yield sign as a stop sign, and it's like, what are you doing, you broad? Come on, move.
Well, she was concerned because she was scared. She was timid because she didn't want to get in front of somebody and get hit. She didn't get this. I'm sure she didn't want to get hit by merging incorrectly, and she almost got hit because she couldn't think.
Yeah. No, there's too many people out there that absolutely should not be on the road. Honestly, I think rush hour is caused by these kinds of people.
Yeah.
They don't know how to move through traffic. They don't know how to merge. They don't know how to change lanes. There's all kinds of people out there that just absolutely do not know how to drive. And I said it years ago when they started adopting all this driver assistant technology. It's just making things worse. Honestly.
Oh yeah, why is it doing this? Why is it keeping me from changing lanes? No. When it goes full self-driving, they need to. The state needs to identify those people that can't drive and mandate full self-driving, unsupervised for them if they want to go someplace.
I heard this in the news here just this week. The people are using doll heads to confuse the Tesla self-driving.
I saw something about that.
It has to see somebody eyes open and paying attention, and so they just put this little doll head in front of the camera that's looking that direction at you, and problem solved. They're over there in the passenger seat, just playing Jenga for all I know. Whatever they're doing. Yeah, but nonetheless, it's. there's ways to get around stuff, but
yeah, and there always will be. That's hilarious. I saw that on one of the social media things, and I started making all these little head jokes. Like everybody likes getting a little head. And I didn't look at the story. I didn't look at the story. I was deep inside my own twisted mind.
From the mind of Nicky G.
Hey, this is Nicky G, and I'm here in Stone Cliff, West Virginia, on the banks of the New River, which happens to be one of the oldest rivers. Yeah, did I mention I'm in West Virginia? Where they invented the toothbrush. Because if they invented it in any other place, it would be called the teeth brush. What does a West Virginia divorce and a tornado have in common? No matter which one happens, someone's losing a trailer. All right, boys and girls, I'll chat you later, and you have a good one. Bye.
All right, so I just want to mention something here real quick. If you're one of the people that used to watch Josh, listen to Josh and I go back and forth, we definitely have a good chemistry. It's fun. It's just fun us talking. We have a good time just talking to each other, and because Josh is always surprised with some of the I come up with. You see it in his face, and Josh does such a wonderful job here as a co-host. But I want to mention something to you. I hate doing this to you because I don't like making the audience feel bad. Josh left the show because he couldn't afford to live. He had to find another job. And if you cheap would actually through, what is it? Patreon?
Patreon. I was like, what's the money?
Through Patreon. Here pretty soon, YouTube is going to be, you're going to be able to watch the commercials on YouTube, and watching those commercials.
Our original channel.
We don't need Josh. Josh is cheap. We don't need a lot of money to have Josh here.
Anybody want to have a miser contest? I'll definitely chime in.
But I'm just saying, you guys love Josh so much. I mean, I know you love the Jeep Talk Show, but you especially love it when Josh is here. Well, if you cheap Patreon doesn't cost that much. Go over there, jeeptalkshow.com/contact, and find out how to stop being a cheap. I'm going to continue doing the show. It's just fun. But we always trying to make the show better. Here's where you can help make it better.
Yeah, and imagine, our longtime dream coming true of being able to send the likes of me out to all the different shows, out to like Easter Jeep Safari, out to Moab for, an event, out to some of the big iconic wheeling destinations around the United States, maybe even around the world, and doing interviews and getting, firsthand information from the manufacturers and from the people who are using the end users of the products and stuff like that, and bring this information to you from outside of our studios. And we can talk about stuff, all day long. And believe me, Tony and I like to talk, but it's different when we can bring the experience to you. And that's the goal that we've always been trying to reach.
And the thing I just thought about this, because we're always thinking about marketing things, but definitely not appropriate marketing things, but we still come up with stuff. So I'm thinking this Tesla deal where they're making the computer think that you're in front of the camera.
Yeah.
We could get a bag of those heads, meet Josh, and get a little head. You could just hand them out.
Oh, get a little head from Josh.
I mean, it's worth $5, right?
You son of a bitch. Look, so as a farewell gift, parting gift from my former employer back in 2020 when COVID forced me to change careers and stuff like that, some of my beautiful coworkers slapped this on my car without me knowing it. Of course, I didn't find it until I got home, but
I'm not gay, but $20
it's a magnetic
$20.
Bumper sticker that says "I'm not gay, but $20 is $20."
So true.
Just full of cash and stuff like that. So get a little head from Josh, I suppose. Why not?
All right. Well, I'm sorry to make you guys feel bad, but sometimes you just got to say the thing. I mean, it's not like we're trying to get Joe Rogan money. wouldn't.
Oh, that would be nice,
Oh,
but
God,
no.
wouldn't it?
I mean, Tony and I never expected to make
I often think
But
about this, and I know we've talked about this before. You come up with some really good commercial stuff, and with AI capabilities that I have now, I can see you sitting there not doing a damn thing all day except working on promos and talking to people about the show.
All the production stuff. I loved all the production stuff when we were deep in this and whatnot, doing all the
when you had the time to do it because you were only working one job.
Exactly. Yeah. It was great. But no, I do miss grinding here in the studio and churning out some really good content and just hyping up the show and adding all that stuff that really sets us apart. It really is fun.
Yeah.
So
and we've done very well. I mean, people really know who we are now. Yeah.
Dude, all the people behind the work, all the girls at the Chick Chat. I mean, Chris behind the scenes as well, doing his stuff, and I mean, plus what he's doing in front of the camera as well. Just amazing work from him. So I'm kind of living vicariously through Chris a little bit as well, because he's out there pressing the flesh and going to these events and stuff, and I think that's just cool as hell.
Yep. No. We could always do more. That's the way money is. But even if we don't get any money from you guys, we'll still work it out because we enjoy doing the show. It's not going to go away. We just try to change it to make it better, and hopefully you guys notice that and appreciate it, even if you're a cheap and you won't send any money. But I digress. All right. So have you been keeping up with the 2026 Cherokee momentum? I mean, I almost kind of have to not laugh when I hear about the momentum of a Cherokee, especially a hybrid.
I was going to say, as far as like performance numbers and stuff, no, I actually haven't seen any of the raw data yet. But as far as like the styling and stuff goes, I just look, when Jeep made the move, when Stellantis picked up Jeep or when it was sold, whenever Jeep went to Italian designers, things just went a direction that I never have really been fond of personally.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned they look like tennis shoes. I've mentioned they look like a Kia. That there's a lot of similarities between other automotive designers. It's like you all went to the same school, didn't you? You all went to the same classroom. You all had the same teacher. You all got the same influences, the same inspirations. There's no originality. It's just like I don't know. I'm not. It just seems to be a lot of meh.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're seeing a lot of copying and out of Hollywood as well. Nobody makes an original movie. Nothing's
original anymore. Everything's a copy of something else. It's like, and we're seeing this in the automotive world too. So it's like, I'm waiting for something original and new, and it's going to be the showstopper. Holy crap. Did you see what Jeep just did? That's what I'm waiting for. Yeah. Come on, Jeep.
Well, like the original Willys, that was original, and it really stood out. I mean, I think a lot of it had to do with its performance and helping our soldiers in World War II. But like when the Cherokee XJ came out, there was so many companies that copied that. I mean, Ford Explorer, for example. So they did something that, like you say, was different. Over close to 3 million Jeep Cherokees were sold. So it's a risk, and that's the reason why we're seeing copies, because nobody wants to risk losing money.
Yeah, and unfortunately, automakers are working on a relatively thin margin as it is. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, it's generally somewhere between 3 and 5% at best. And so it's all about the volume and stuff. When you're selling 1 million units of this, 3 million units of that, obviously that 3% is billions of dollars. But I digress. We get into the weeds when we get into the numbers of this sort of stuff. But that's really what it comes down to, though, is how many units can they sell, and what's it going to take to produce that unit as far as the R&D behind it. Mm-hmm. So if we can get into an age where, and I think we're going to be starting there with AI sort of on the forefront of this, getting into the design aspect, and we're going to start seeing some alien cars coming out of here pretty soon. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I think we're actually going to see the fruits of the labor of AI and its influence in the automotive design world.
Yeah, and you know what? I think some of the executives are going to be swayed by AI, which this is sad because there's a lot of really good designers at Jeep. And I think that if they put the buzzword or letters AI, the executive is going to perk up and say, yeah, I think we should try that. But if the engineer came up with this wonderful idea, because it's not a buzz term. Right. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you about this. I don't think we've talked about this, but even if we had, we can talk about it again. I have a theory. You know, I've mentioned this several times on the show. I'm a Tesla stockholder, and I'm following Tesla closely because I want a bunch of money from the stock. And
Tesla's made a bunch of millionaires. So I mean, or SpaceX
yeah. So the thing I think all car manufacturers, with the possible exception of some of the high-end Ferrari, those type of specialty cars, all automakers are going to have full self-driving, unsupervised. All the vehicles,
Eventually, yeah.
But I mean, how long do you wait? I mean, because Tesla has full self-driving, unsupervised now.
Yeah,
and
it's got to be a slow roll because each company's got to have its own system, its own proprietary software, cameras, etc. But it all has to follow NHTSA standards and inspections and all that kind of stuff.
There's a much faster way. They can buy or get the technology from Tesla. Tesla is more than willing to sell this technology so that the current automobiles, now they would have to be drive-by-wire, basically fly-by-wire, brake system, the whole 9 yards. So some of that stuff may have to change to accomplish this. But I think that Jeep is in terrible danger, and so are the others, but I'm really concerned about Jeep because I like Jeeps. You do not have to have an electric vehicle to have full self-driving unsupervised.
No, and Jeep was toying around with concepts back, I think, around 2016, 2018 or something with self-driving technology. They had been working on a system. So whether or not that got further development from back then, I don't know, because I think there was a few things in the news where there was some MIT company or something like that was trying to develop a self-driving technology, and the car hit somebody or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or it was one of the first generation of self-driving vehicles from somebody else, Toyota, Tesla. Somebody was trying the technology, and their prototype had ran somebody into a wall or something like that. And so I think that maybe Jeep had gotten scared, if that was the case, and decided, well, we're not going to throw a bunch of money into the self-driving technology quite yet. We still have this program over here. We still have the software. We still have the systems and everything like that. But let's not do this yet because there's a lot of negativity in the news. Let's put our money over here into hybrid technology and see where that goes. And we'll just keep this on the back burner. But I think you're right. So I'm going to agree with you in one aspect that they did themselves a disservice, because had they pursued that a lot further and a lot more aggressively, they could have set themselves way ahead and been that car company that produced that. Have you seen what Jeep just did with the self-driving thing?
Yeah. And
now your Wrangler can drive up the mountain for you, or vice versa.
Oh, I'm taking the wheel when I'm going off road, but
no doubt
the 19 hours to Moab,
right? I'm sleeping in the back.
Having the vehicle, I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, and we save you the cost of a tow rig.
Jeeves, we're going wheeling. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, but the Robotaxis, the ones with no steering wheel, no pedals.
Yeah,
they are about to hit. And perhaps that's a bad term. They're about to.
No, you're right. Because was it Waymo or Waysmo or something like that? They've got they're starting to pop up here in the PDX area. So I mean, if they're in Portland, then yeah, they'll be in your town soon enough.
Oh yeah, I think there's currently about 100 or so Robotaxis in a parking lot here in Houston, waiting for them to turn everything on. There's a few Robotaxis in Houston, but they're getting ready to start dumping these things. They're going to be making these Robotaxis one every 5 seconds.
Well, here's what this is going to do: is it's going to put all the taxi drivers, it's going to put all the Ubers, all of the Ubers and the Lyft drivers, all those guys pretty much out of business.
Absolutely, because it's cheaper.
And what we're going to see next is a massive increase to the Grubhub and the shopping kind of things where it's like, well, I need a bottle of super glue at 2 a.m. I can find an app that will have a driver go get it for me and bring it to my house. we'll see a big increase in that sort of thing. But even then, that will be short-lived because that will be a bubble that will burst and will be conquered by artificial intelligence.
The
and we'll have
Robotaxis. I mean, not the Robotaxis, the robots.
The robots and drones and things like that will be doing it. I said, I don't know who I was saying it to, is you or somebody else, maybe off the air, but we are just years away from Will Smith's movie, iRobot. There are companies now that are mass producing humanoid robots. So that's a thing. That's happening. That's going on. As that becomes more normal, we're going to start seeing that implemented in almost every aspect of our daily life.
Oh, absolutely. And coming back to the whole, the other manufacturers, including Jeep, need to get full self-driving unsupervised. If you can take a Robotaxi and it only costs you $5 to have to have this thing take you someplace, and you get over your fear of the vehicle having sole control, people are going to say, I need a Tesla so I can use full self-driving. And that means all the other car manufacturers are going to be sucking hind, and they're at least 10 years away from where Tesla is in the technology. They're going to go out of business. So
I could see a massive automotive shift, but I could see them going back down to being like the big three, type of thing. There's only going to be a few big players in the market and maybe some ancillary people out here on the fringes that are doing some things here and there that are supplementing that or are supporting that in some way or fashion. But it's interesting times.
So
we are.
I think Jeep needs to call, and I'm not saying they haven't. Jeep needs to call Tesla and do whatever they need to do to
get that technology,
and start putting it into Jeeps immediately, especially like the Grand Wagoneer. I mean, you want a fancy luxury vehicle, it needs to be self-driving. I do not want Jeep to go out of business.
Retooling and systems integrations is a very, very costly maneuver. So,
well, what's it cost to not to have a company?
Well, true, but look at this. How many times has Jeep been sold? How many parent companies has Jeep had? It's ridiculous at this point because there's nobody else in the automotive field that has gone through the rigmarole that Jeep has.
Yeah.
And so at this point, it may come down to, well, maybe it's time for Jeep to be a standalone company, or something like that.
Jeep Ram. We've talked about this in the past.
Exactly. Ram is on the cusp of doing it. I think Jeep is as well. We're going to see some of these ancillary companies from Stellantis fade into the mist. I think it's going to happen really big time over in Europe. We're going to see it here in the U.S., I believe, first, but it's going to be at a lot larger scale over in Europe. But yeah, it's. What do you think, Tony? 3 years, 5 years? It's going to happen in less than 10.
Well, I think the problem that I have is I think it would be quicker. But the thing I can't that I have a hard time dealing with because I don't have billions of dollars. If you have billions of dollars, you can make a bad decision and have that bad decision go on for years, depending on how
many kids Elon Musk has. I mean,
how you spend your money. So I think that's probably what's going to happen is that we're going to see declining sales. People are going to say it doesn't have full self-driving. Right now, people are scared of it. My wife is scared of it. She doesn't like the idea. And I remind her, if you could go back in time, pluck somebody from going across the country, moving from the East Coast to the West Coast, back in like the 1700s, and where they were on wagons being drawn by horses, and you put them in a modern, or even a car that from 20 years ago,
spaceship to them. I mean, come on.
And you're traveling at over 100-mile closure rate and being less than 5 or 6 feet away from the other vehicle. That would scare the literally the out of those people.
So I think the fear of the self-driving thing is going to predominantly be a generational thing as well, because we come from the generation of having all the control. And as generations come that are going to see self-driving as this thing that's been out there since they can remember, well, it's not going to be a big deal to them. Or, they grew up with this technology coming up as they have, it's just as old as they are. And so it's new technology and they're new drivers. And so, well, they don't see the big deal, so we'll figure it out. it's very much going to be a generational thing. So as we see younger drivers coming into the market, so to speak, I think we're going to see a lot more of their money going into the market as income to these self-driving taxi companies and stuff. It's going there. They don't want their licenses. We've seen it since the millennials. That they're in droves.
I was really surprised by this. The freedom that you get whenever you get your license. It's just amazing.
And it's just not an interest to the younger generations. And I think a lot of that comes to, well, there's all these services out there that can get me anywhere I need to go. So why do I need to?
That's what's going to happen with the Robotaxis. First, it's going to be people saying, we don't need 2 vehicles. We can get by with 1 vehicle, and we'll call the Robotaxi, depending on how long you have to wait and how much it costs and stuff. But I think it's going to be cheaper.
They're doing that. They do the Lyft or the Uber all the time.
Yeah, and then it's going to be, why do I need a vehicle? Why do I have to do oil changes? Why do I have to do? It's like renting instead of owning your house.
And then the government will be able to control all of our movements anywhere we go. No freedom whatsoever. You will go where you're told and where the vehicle takes you.
Yep. No, there's a dystopian nature of this, but I love the idea of just being able to call a vehicle and go someplace, especially on those times where you're working on the Jeep, you're trying to get it going again, you're trying to get that water pump changed so you can make it to work. And
crap. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm going to the parts store on the bike to go get the water pump. It's like, so I get it. I get it to a certain extent.
All right. Well, you guys, let me know if I'm whining too much about this. I am scared for Jeep. I think Jeep is going to go out of business or suffer immensely if they don't get on this, get in with Tesla. And I'm not talking about them coming up with their own stuff. They need to get with Tesla, because the stuff that I've been reading and watching on the Tesla, this isn't something you can write a program for. This is something AI has to figure out. And you have to have billions of driven miles video from billions of vehicles, which is what Tesla has. And that's why their AI is doing so good at it. And nobody else has that because they don't have cameras on the cars.
So here we go. So Tesla is going to be the new owner of Jeep.
That crossed my mind when we were talking about it.
Parent companies, right? I mean, Stellantis hasn't exactly done Jeep any favors. So why not? Why not? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, good. And you guys let me know if I'm bitching too much about this, or you're tired of hearing about the electric vehicle and and of course, I'm not talking about electric vehicle. I'm really talking about stuff that can drive you around. Like it's like you're like driving Miss Daisy, having the chauffeur. Oh, this is so funny. I saw somebody was talking, they have Grok in these Teslas now. So he was talking to Grok and he says, Grok, what's my name? And it said, like Ted, blah, 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 blah. He goes, great. I would like for you to address me as my Lord. and Grok had a woman's British accent. So he says, what's the weather like, Grok? And she says it's 95 degrees and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Rain, blah, blah, blah. My Lord. So it was hilarious.
That is great.
All right, man. Yeah, well, look, it was a lot of fun talking to you today. I hope you listeners and viewers keep chiming in. Give me some more accolades for Josh. We got to keep him around. So Josh, what you got coming up for our next episode?
Well, I've got a new you
absolutely.
You can stay tuned for one of those. Absolutely. I've got a bunch of those chambered up. So we'll be having some fun with those as well. And some potential movement on the XJ. So
that's interesting.
I've got a new friend, a new pal who is willing to help out and get some traction going. So there might be some stuff happening here pretty soon. So we'll see what's up going on with that. And I've got some other news I'll be sharing here personally as well the next time we speak. So all that coming up the next time you guys see me on the Jeep Talk Show.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you being here. Check out YouTube. Make sure you go over to jeeptalkshow.com and check us out there. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, do that too. Just go over to jeeptalkshow.com/contact to find out all the ways that you can reach out to us. Josh, thanks. We'll see you again, hopefully next week.
Oh, yeah. And hey, real quick, if you guys want to give a video response to anything that we're doing here on the show, jeeptalkshow.com/voicemail. It'll be a lot of fun. Trust me.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Again, that's another place, jeeptalkshow.com/contact. You can find the link there. That makes it nice and easy, one spot.
There we go.
Bonus Nicky G.
Hey, this is Nicky G. And did you know I love watching programs about lakes and rivers and just about anything water related? Yeah, I'm actually watching a live stream right now. Yeah, that was horrible. What's even worse is I can't remember the next joke. Hey, but did you know that all the money you spent on food, you pretty much actually just flushed it down the toilet? All right, true story. All right, boys and girls, I'll chat you later and have a good one. Bye. Can't go wrong with a potty joke.
This is what it's all about. Yeah. Join the Jeep Talk Show community. Best community ever.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.